On April 6, 2017, 22-year-old Jacob Gray went missing while traveling on the Salduc Hot Springs Road in the Olympic National Park of Washington State. His whereabouts remain unknown until August 10, 2018, when his body was discovered in Hole Lake, located within the Daniel J. Evans Wilderness area of the park. The location was 15 miles away from his belongings and at an elevation of 5,300 feet. This is the story of Jacob Gray. Jacob Gray, a native of Santa Cruz, California, embarked on a solo bicycle trip from Port Townsend, Washington on April 5, 2017, hauling a fully loaded trailer of camping equipment. His ultimate destination was the Daniel J. Evans Wilderness and Olympic National Park in Washington, before continuing eastward. However, on April 6th, Gray's bicycle, trailer, and most of his belongings were found approximately 6.5 miles up Salduc Hot Springs Road, a picturesque route named after the Indian term for sparkling waters. An unusual discovery was made. A bow was lying on the ground, and arrows were embedded in the ground and protruding from the back of the trailer, but there was no sign of the bike's owner. Jacob Gray's bicycle had a unique backstory. It was a promotional bike won by his father, Randy, at a contractor show. As the son of a house builder, Gray was skilled with a saw and constructed a plywood rack behind the seat to secure 2 milk crates side by side. The bike's flat pedals were suitable for his running shoes or hiking boots, and while it wasn't built for speed or looks, it was practical and efficient, much like a pickup truck. When it came to camping gear, Gray had a preferred shopping destination, the Goodwill store in Port Townsend, Washington. There, he gathered the items for his journey. Despite the harsh weather conditions that characterized northwestern Washington in the early days of April, Jacob, a skilled surfer who had grown up on the beach, remained undeterred. He had a deep connection with the water, which energized him in all its forms, whether he was surfing on it or simply swimming in it. According to his father, Randy, Jacob's love for the water had been cultivated from a young age, and it was evident in the way he fearlessly rode the waves, regardless of weather conditions. Despite the challenges posed by the harsh weather, Jacob's enthusiasm for his trip remained unwavering. There were a few reported sightings of Jacob, but they were not very helpful in locating him. However, some of the sightings seemed credible. For instance, a man claimed to have seen Jacob twice in Indian Valley and along Crescent Lake on April 5th. The next day, a woman reported seeing a man towing a red trailer climbing Fairholme until 1 o'clock in the morning. Later that same morning, another woman passed Jacob as he was riding up the Salduc Hot Springs Road, which was about 2 miles from the 101. Later that afternoon, the same woman noticed Jacob's rig on the side of the road, which was 6.5 miles upriver from the 101. She was curious enough to snap a quick photo of the abandoned contraption, which was a flash of red and yellow against the green of the forest. However, it wasn't a good place to camp or stash a bike for long, as it was highly visible, not 10 yards from the road and only 20 yards from the river. Despite these sightings, Jacob's whereabouts remain unknown. A ranger had recalled seeing the bike in gear, but didn't think much of it, assuming that the rider was on a short excursion on foot. This wasn't uncommon in the area, since touring cyclists were a common sight, and Jacob was the first of many to come. It was evident that someone, possibly Jacob, had been organizing gear, as there was a poly tarp spread out surrounded by camping equipment. However, what caught the ranger's attention were 4 arrows stuck in the ground in an east-west line near the tarp. While going missing isn't a crime or an emergency for individuals over the age of 18, a person isn't considered missing until someone reports them as such. In this case, nobody had reported Jacob missing at all. It was rare for a cyclist to vanish, unlike hikers and runners. However, the fact that the bike remained untouched for most of the day piqued the ranger's curiosity. On the afternoon of April 6th, Ranger John Bowie searched the area around the bike, hoping to find any clues. He wondered if the cyclist had gone to the river to filter some water or hitchhike to the hot springs. But if he had slipped and fallen into the sub-40-degree weather, he would surely have succumbed to the elements. The following is the actual missing persons dispatch call to park rangers.
That's 741 Ron on North Plain.
741 Ron.
I've got a bicycle that has went off the Salduc Road about mile marker 7, and I can't find anybody around it. You might want to send a ranger up here so we can see what's going on.
Copy. Thanks for the info. 1630.
741 Ron, 611. 741 Ron. This is Echo 8 on North Point. I'll head that way. Is that bicycle down the bank a ways, or is it easy to get to? It's easy to get to. It's got a little carrier on the back of it, too. It looked like it's crashed off the road. Okay, so it didn't look like maybe somebody hit it there so they can go off for a hike. It doesn't look like anybody's hit it. It looks like he just went off the road. I'm going to stay here until you get up this way. Okay, I'll be coming over from the Ella. 741 Ron.
When Ranger Bowie stumbled upon the bike and trailer, his heart sank as he feared the worst. However, to his relief, they were in excellent condition, fully operational with no signs of damage or malfunction. The trailer was loaded with a ton of equipment, which indicated that the owner had come fully prepared for his adventure. Despite the reassuring state of the bike and trailer, the Rangers couldn't shake off the uneasy feeling that something wasn't right. Their worst fears were confirmed when they scoured the Salt Duck Hot Springs Resort, and no one had seen the owner. They suspected that he may have fallen into the river, but they had to keep searching to be sure. On that fateful Friday, Ranger Ray stumbled upon Jacob's wallet, ID, and a list of phone numbers. It confirmed the owner's identity, but it also heightened their concerns for his safety. Ray immediately contacted Jacob's sister, Mallory, and upon hearing the news, she implored Ray to call their parents in Santa Cruz right away, hoping they could help in the search and bring Jacob home safely. All signs seemed to point to the river as the likely location of Jacob's disappearance. The Olympic National Park Rangers concluded that he may have slipped and fallen into the water while trying to filter it into his camelback. They planned to search the river more thoroughly when the water levels went down in the summer. Jacob's mother, Laura, had spoken to him just a few nights before he set out on his journey. She knew that he was excited to embark on a cross-country tour to visit his brother in Vermont. Jacob had even mentioned that he might take 2 years to complete the trip, working on jobs and seasonal work along the way. When Jacob's mother reached out to the Rangers for help, they explained that their park was extremely understaffed and overburdened. The park covered an area that was 200,000 acres larger than Yosemite and received almost 4 million visitors each year. Unfortunately, due to budget cuts in 2013, nearly 2/3 of their law enforcement personnel had been transferred to other parks and not replaced. To compound their already overloaded situation, within a week of Jacob's bike being found, there were 2 other incidents in the park, a plane crash and another missing person. The Rangers were stretched thin and simply didn't have the resources or personnel to conduct a full-scale search for Jacob. It was a heartbreaking situation for Laura and Jacob's loved ones, who were left feeling helpless and frustrated by the lack of support from the park authorities. Randy, Jacob's father, dropped his hammer gun and threw his wetsuit into his truck when he heard the news. Rangers told him the bike was found near the river, and Randy had a sense he'd be searching the swift water. He picked up Mallory and sped north, driving the 1,000 miles from Santa Cruz straight through. When Randy and Mallory arrived at the park, 5 days had already passed since the Rangers first discovered Jacob's abandoned bike. Other family members and friends, including Jacob's mother Laura, flew into SeaTac and drove to the park for what ended up being a tragic search and rescue mission. The family was surprised to learn that no Ranger-assisted search had been launched yet. Unfortunately, national parks operate like sovereign countries, and search and rescue personnel from outside the park must be requested by park officials to initiate a search. Jacob's bike was discovered just 40 feet away from the river, which was 40 feet wide at the high water mark. On the other side of the river is Olympic National Forest, which is under a different jurisdiction. Unlike national parks, national forests operate under the county model, and the Cullum County Sheriff's Department is responsible for search and rescue there, which is only a stone's throw away from the park. Randy and Danny suited up and entered the river, but they sensed lethargy from the park officials and decided to take matters into their own hands. The family demanded an intense search, and Ranger Ray agreed to their request. Randy searched behind waterfalls, in deep holes, and under log jams, while Mallory kicked through ferns, looking for any evidence. The family was surprised to find that the park had not requested any outside assistance, such as dog teams or aircraft from Woodley Island Naval Air Station. Randy bushwhacked through thick brush and thorny Devil's Club in the rain, suffering from trench foot due to wet socks. Despite his physical discomfort, he remained determined to find his son alive. Surprisingly, the Coast Guard, based in Port Angeles, was not requested for assistance, nor were aircraft from Woodley Island Naval Air Station, which has been known to assist with some Olympic Park searches. Time was of the essence in the search and rescue operation, and the delay of 5 days and the lack of assistance from neighboring agencies greatly reduced the chances of finding Jacob alive. It was a devastating realization for the family, who were left feeling let down by the system and desperate for answers. After the discovery of the bike on April 6, 2017, the Clallam County Sheriff's Office conducted a search the following day with the help of approximately 30 people and dogs, but their efforts were fruitless. Olympic Mountain Rescue was called in nearly a week later on April 12th, and during their search, they found evidence suggesting that someone had exchanged hiking boots for running shoes, walked towards the river, and slipped and had fallen into it, leaving a mark on a mossy rock further downstream. There were signs the individual may have attempted to climb out. However, a state fisheries biologist was assigned to look through the log jams in the river instead of swift water search and rescue. On April 13th, the search for the individual became a search for a body instead of a live cyclist, and dog teams were brought in. 2 cadaver dogs indicated a log jam where a corpse might be trapped, but after searching all log jams for 12 miles on both sides of the bike area, nobody was found. The search operation continued in Olympic National Park throughout the week, but on April 14th, the park transitioned to a limited continuous search, effectively ending the search by Olympic Rangers. After a period of over a year, specifically on the late afternoon of Friday, August 10th, 2018, a group of biologists embarked on a trip into the mountains to study marmots. During their expedition, they stumbled upon the remains, clothing, and gear of Jacob Gray. The discovery was made at the top of a ridge located above Hole Lake, approximately 5,300 feet above sea level, and at a distance of at least 15 miles from where he abandoned his bicycle. The location where Jacob's remains were discovered was not near any trail, and during the time of his disappearance, which was in April, the terrain would have been covered in snow and potentially prone to avalanches. The remains were found on a treeless ridge, which could have been visible from the air. The story of Jacob Gray can serve as a cautionary tale for other hikers and can help them be more aware and prepared for the potential dangers of hiking in the wilderness. It highlights the importance of being prepared, taking safety precautions, being cautious, and communicating plans with others before heading out on a hike. By taking these steps, hikers can minimize risks and enjoy a safer and more enjoyable hiking experience in the wilderness. If you've enjoyed this content from a universe of mystery, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my new and upcoming content.